Christmas 2004, a group of fishermen struggled to survive amidst a storm in the Indian Ocean. Kim Hee, a geologist in the Hyundai district, reports to his boss that a tsunami is on the way and informs the residents so they can take shelter. A rescue helicopter arrives to save the fishermen, but the captain of the boat is caught in a fishing net and orders his shipmates to leave him behind. Otherwise, the tsunami will take them all away. Before he dies, the man asks Man Sik to take care of his daughter, and Man Sik promises that he will do so. A few days later, the news reports that the tsunami took the lives of thousands of people in Southeast Asia, leaving the place completely destroyed. 5 years later, in the summer of 2009, Man Sik continues to fulfill the promise he made to his captain and has been taking care of his daughter since the day he died. Her mother doesn't usually get along with Yi and Hee very well, but Man Sik always shows up to defend her. He was willing to give everything to the young girl, but Yi and Hee prefers to work to make her own living and not depend on anyone. Eok Jo is Man Sik's uncle, but everyone in the place hates him, including his nephew. The old man is a businessman and owner of several establishments in Hyundai. He was responsible for many deaths during the 2004 disaster because he ordered fishermen to go to sea, even though he had received the evacuation notice. In an interview about a possible new tsunami, Kim Hee meets with his ex-wife. At the end of the meeting, the woman tells him that she is spending a few days in the city with her daughter and her boyfriend. Ji Min is the daughter of Kim Hee and Yoo Jin, but the woman has preferred never to tell her who her real father is. Therefore, the weatherman cannot even approach the girl, although he wants to be present in her life. Kimi is on the beach with her friends when 3 guys show up and invite them to take a ride on their yacht. The girl doesn't feel very comfortable accompanying them, but decides to go because of pressure from her 2 friends who are with her. While the group is having fun, the young woman is smoking a cigarette sitting on the side of the yacht and ends up falling into the water. Hearing the young woman's cry for help, Hyung Sik jumps into the ocean and drags her to his boat. That afternoon, Man Sik and his friends are eating at Yi and Hee's restaurant when his mother shows up and orders the young woman to return the dishes she borrowed in an attempt to calm her down. Man Sik asks his friends to go to his mother's restaurant and gives Yi and Hee a nice tip as an apology for the inconvenience. Unlike Man Sik, Dong Chun is a middle-aged man who has never worked in his life. He lives off his mother and always eats at Yi and Hee's restaurant without ever paying the bill. In an attempt to recover her money, the young woman takes the deadbeat to help her fish. Before leaving with the boat, she receives an invitation from Man Sik to go to a baseball game and decides to accompany him. The man is a single father and takes his son, San Ryan, to watch his favorite team play. Meanwhile, Mi and Hyung Sik are in a restaurant talking about what happened that morning. Since being saved by the man, Mi began to develop an interest in him and decided she wanted to get to know him better. When she arrives home that night, Yi and Hee spots some boxes. Opening them, the young woman discovers that this is a gift from Man Sik, who has given her several dishes and kitchen utensils so that she doesn't have to borrow anything else. A few days have passed and Hyung Sik has been given a new role. He is now in charge of looking after children who get lost on the beach. Ji Min tells her that she got lost during the walk-in, in tears, asks the man to call her mother. Upon receiving the news about her daughter, Yoo Jin calls Kim Hee and asks him to go find the girl, as she is busy at work. Minutes later, the woman goes to pick her up and fights with the girl for getting lost from Rai Chen on the beach. Seeing Yoo Jin beating the girl, Kim Hee tries to stop her and calls out his ex-wife for leaving Ji Min in the care of a guy she barely knows. Furious, Yoo Jin orders the man not to interfere in her daughter's upbringing and leaves under the pretext that he was never there to protect her. It's only 1 day away from 5 years since Yi and Hee's father died, and she still misses him terribly. The young woman had just entered high school and says that, even at that time, her heart was racing every time she saw Man Sik. Despite feeling the same way about her, the man refuses to ask her to marry him, as he believes this is a way of betraying his captain, who has entrusted the care of his daughter to him. Since she has no family members still living, Yi and Hee invites Man Sik to accompany her to the cemetery the next day so that she can take flowers to her father's grave. That night, Man Sik dreams of the tsunami and remembers that the accident that took the captain's life happened because of him. If he had obeyed his orders, everyone would have escaped alive that day. When he wakes up, the man realizes that there is a storm going on outside, and San Ryan claims to be afraid of the thunder. Man Sik takes his son on his lap and tries to comfort him. While returning home after a trip to the restaurant, Mi compliments Hyung Sik's watch, and the man reveals that he needs it to do the rescues in the ocean. Even though they have only been on a few dates, the girl is already falling in love with him and takes a moment of distraction to kiss him. What Mi didn't know is that her friends and the guys they met on the beach were nearby and saw her with the lifeguard. Everything seems perfectly normal in Hyundai, But what few people know is that earthquakes are happening all the time in the ocean, causing even the crabs to leave the beach. Kim Hee is warned by his staff of the possibility of an even bigger tsunami than the one that happened in 2004 and goes to warn his superior. There are more than 1 million people in Hyundai at that moment, and if the city is not evacuated, everyone will be in danger. The next morning, as agreed, Man Sik accompanies Yeon Hee to her father's grave. The young woman says that Man Sik has taken such good care of her these past years, and now she would like to return the favor. Yeon Hee is frustrated that he has not yet proposed to her and regrets not being able to win the heart of the man she loves. After talking with her father, the young woman leaves, and Man Sik kneels before the tomb. He asks forgiveness for what happened and states that, even after so many years, he still feels guilty for the death of his captain. Despite knowing that Hee comes from a wealthy family and is about to go to a university in Seoul, Hyung Sik allows himself to fall in love with the girl and arranges to meet her at a restaurant during his lunch hour. The man decides to give her his watch as a gift, since Hee praised it earlier. However, on the way, he is surprised by Hyung Chol and her friends. The demented man claims that Hee is his fiancée and orders the man not to go near her again. A few hours later, Man Sik finalizes his preparations to propose. He takes Yeon Hee to a boat and waits for the fireworks show to propose. The young woman is extremely happy with the request, but refuses to accept it immediately. Instead, she asks Man Sik to come to her restaurant the next morning to find out her answer. Meanwhile, Hee goes after Hyung Sik and informs him that she has been waiting for him all day. She asks why the man didn't show up at the restaurant, and he just ignores her, saying that he doesn't want to see her anymore. During dinner, Dong Chun's mother tells him that she got a job interview for him, but the slacker refuses to go. As an excuse, the man says he doesn't have decent shoes to attend the interview, and his mother offers to buy him new shoes, even though she knows Dong Chun has no interest in starting work. After arguing with his mother, he goes to Yeon Hee's restaurant and finds out that the girl has been proposed to. When Dong Chun learns of this, he is overcome with jealousy, for he has always been in love with the young woman. In an attempt to make her refuse his request, he tells her everything that happened on the night of the tsunami, and Yeon Hee realizes that Man Sik was to blame for her father's death. When Man Sik goes to visit his bride to be the next day, Dong Chun shows up and says that he told Yeon Hee the truth. At that moment, Man Sik, who is known to be a very patient guy, becomes furious and attacks his former coworker. The former fisherman then runs around his van to try to escape the blows, and both are surprised when a pigeon crashes into the windshield of the vehicle and gets stuck there. At that moment, they spot thousands of birds migrating to the continent and realize that something wrong is happening. By now, Kim Hee is convinced that a tsunami will arrive soon and tries to convince his boss to evacuate Hyundai. However, the man refuses to interrupt the cultural exhibition that is taking place in the city and prefers to believe that no threat is on the way. Hoping that her son will start working, Dong Chun's mother skips a picnic with her friends in a neighboring town to go to a store and buy a pair of shoes so that Dong Chun can take his job interview. The woman calls her son to ask about his shoe size, but he ignores her and claims to be busy taking his van in for repairs. Meanwhile, Man Sik's mother takes her grandson for a ride, not even imagining what is to come. Earthquakes cause large landslides and leaders are forced to announce the evacuation alert. As soon as he hears about the news, Yoo Jin tries to talk to her daughter, but Ji-min is asleep and won't answer the phone. Not knowing about Hyung Chol's lie, Hee agrees to take a ride with him in his speedboat. Meanwhile, her friends are visiting an aquarium with the men they met during their trip. After a few hours waiting for Yeon Hee at the door of her house, Man Sik finally finds her and asks for a chance to explain himself. However, they are interrupted by an earthquake that strikes the entire district and causes despair among the bathers. Due to the tremor, the underground aquarium where Hee's friends are staying breaks down and the place is overrun by water. As soon as Yoo Jin enters the elevator of the hotel where her daughter is staying, the power is cut off and she is trapped inside. Concerned for Ji-min's safety, the woman calls her ex-husband and asks him to come and rescue her. A giant wave has just formed in the ocean and swallows an entire ship. Hyung Chol calls the lifeguards and asks for rescue because his speedboat is no longer moving. Immediately, a helicopter prepares to go and rescue them, and Hyung Sik is one of the search team members. When she wakes up, Ji-min looks out the window and is startled to see a large wave approaching. She is alone in her room, and Kim Hee runs to try to save her before it is too late. Realizing what is happening, Yeon Hee pulls Man Sik and the couple runs away from the beach. The beachgoers invade the town and run over each other in an attempt to survive the disaster that is about to happen. In the midst of the confusion, a little girl ends up falling in the sand and her father comes back to get her. To protect his daughter, the man uses his body as a shield and ends up being trampled. Looking back, He sees a wave of destruction and runs away with the little girl in his arms. Dong-chun and Man-sik's mother are on the bridge when the tsunami hits Hyundai. The man quickly picks up San Ryan on his lap and pulls the old lady to safety. Within minutes, water invades the hotel where Yoo-jin is staying and starts flooding the elevator. Kim-hee runs to reach his daughter in time, and when he enters the room, he realizes that the girl was already about to drown. The water current pushes Ji-min out of the building, but her father manages to catch her in time. When the wave reaches the center of the city, it sweeps people and vehicles away. In order to soften the impact of the wave, Man-sik pulls Yi and Hee behind a pillar. Hyung-chol and Hee-mi are about to drown when the rescue team finds them. Meanwhile, Yoo-jin is still trapped in the elevator and is desperately screaming for help, because if she doesn't get out of there, she will soon drown. Dong-chun has lost San Ryan and his grandmother and walks across the bridge looking for them. Suddenly, the support cables start to come loose and the containers that were inside the wreck fall onto the bridge. All the people around Dong-chun are hit, but luckily he manages to get out unharmed. In the city, while Man-sik and Yi and Hee try not to drown, they spot the power box of a pole about to hit the water. If this happens, everyone will die electrocuted, so the couple tries to climb another pole in an attempt to stay above the water level. First, Man-sik helps the girl up and manages to save herself seconds before the electricity hits the water, eliminating everyone in contact with it. While pulling Hee-mi out of the ocean, Hyung-sik asks if she is really engaged to Hyung-chol and discovers that he has been deceived, as the young woman claims that she met him only a few days ago. The elevator is almost flooded when Yoo-jin receives a call from her ex-husband. The man tells her that he is on the roof of the building with Ji-min and discovers that his wife is trapped in the elevator. Kim-hee then hands the phone to his daughter and runs to try to rescue Yoo-jin, but is surrounded by the guards. In her final minutes, the woman decides to tell Ji-min the truth and says that Kim-hee is her father. She says goodbye to the girl and ends up drowning, but one of the employees opens the elevator door and Yoo-jin manages to escape. In order to ease his despair, Dong-chun decides to light a cigarette to calm down. However, he is startled by the flame and throws the lighter away. This small act causes a major disaster, as the fire meets the fuel that was being spilled from the ship, causing a huge explosion. As soon as he realizes what a big mistake he has made, Dong-chun runs away and manages to escape, but the wreckage of the boat ends up hitting some buildings that are around the beach. Man-sik manages to climb a building and is helping Yi and Hee up when he is hit by a piece of debris and ends up falling. The young woman tries to hold him, but he knows that he will eventually be swept away by the current. In his last minutes of life, the man decides to declare himself to Yi and Hee, saying that he truly loves her and that he would very much like to have married her. Man-sik was already being led away when he is unexpectedly saved by his uncle, the one he has always despised. He pulls him back up and helps his nephew hold on to the pole. Before Man-sik can thank him, however, Eok-jo is hit by a metal box and gets loose, being dragged along with the debris. When Hee-mi is safely in the helicopter, Hyung-sik climbs up with the second victim, but the cable begins to snap due to the weight. Knowing that only one of the two can be saved, the man decides to let Hyung-chol go up and asks him to hand over his watch to Hee-mi. Realizing what he is about to do, the young woman begins to scream, begging Hyung-sik to save himself, but the lifeguard decides to die doing his duty. When he falls into the water, he says goodbye to Hee-mi with a smile on his face and is carried away by the waves. After exiting the elevator, Yoo-jin runs to the terrace and manages to give her daughter one last hug. An even bigger wave approaches the shore and Kim-hee tries to save the girl by handing her over to a lady inside a metal basket, who will be carried away by a rescue helicopter. The woman says she will take good care of the girl, and for the first and last time, Ji-min sees her parents together. After saying goodbye to their daughter, the former couple embraces while waiting for death to come. Soon after the disaster, the government sends dozens of rescue helicopters to save the survivors. A few days later, a memorial is held for all those who sacrificed themselves to save the tsunami victims. Among them is Hyung-sik, and Hee-mi cannot hold back her tears as she holds the man's watch. While some locals gather to clean up the beach, Ji-min tells San Ryan that she was saved by her father and that he and her mother eventually died. She is now under the care of the lady who took her that day. After being unemployed for so many years, Dong-chun finally gets a job, but his mother is no longer around to celebrate this achievement. Sitting at the edge of the ocean, he regrets everything he put her through while she was alive. Yi and Hee decides to forgive Man-sik and accepts his marriage proposal. Despite all the disagreements, the young woman gets the blessing of her fiancé's mother, who willingly accepts her into the family. After the tsunami, the residents of Hyundai and all those who were in the district during the disaster realize that life is too short.